And today's headlines: growth rate revised down. What sector calls for government support? And strict measures to control unofficial rice exports. Hello, you're watching Daily Buzz on VTV International, and I'm Lanning from Hanoi. First, we'll look at the changes in the stock market today. Vietnam's stock market witnessed a sign of recovery on September the 90th, 2012. On the Ho Chi Minh City Stock Exchange, the VN Index gained 0.04 points to reach 394.55 points at a total trading value of $33.4 million. The VN30, tracking the top 30 shares by market capitalization and liquidity, was down 3.31 points to end at 457.13 points. On the Hanoi Stock Exchange, the HNX index lost 0.41 points to end this morning's session at 56.07 points. The Upcom index of unlisted companies moved 0.10 points downward to 39.44 points. Following our stock report is the list of the biggest gainers and losers of the day. The Ministry of Planning and Investment, or MPI, has officially revised down its growth forecast from 6 to 6.5% set early this year to 5.3 to 5.6%. This data is based on the country's socio-economic situation in the first 9 months and forecast for the year's remaining quarter. After being carefully revised, it will be submitted to the government and the National Assembly, said MPI Deputy Minister Cao Viet Singh. The MPI made the revision amid Vietnam's ever-growing economic difficulties and wide belief that the 6 to 6.5% target was unfeasible. Now, Vietnam-based foreign bank branches are currently scaling up efforts to attract savings. Many banks are boosting their marketing by presenting attractive credit and deposit policies.
Lending rates on mortgages at these foreign-backed banks are much lower than those charged by local banks. The Malaysia-backed Hong Leong Bank Vietnam currently offers home buyers mortgage at 8.8% per annum on the first 3 months of the loan. The loans, which will be disbursed from September 12th to December 11th, can account for up to 70% of property's value and be repaid over a 20-year period. HSBC Vietnam is currently offering 9% per year for first 3 months, while at ANZ home buyers can enjoy 12% per year lending rate for the first month of borrowing. Many foreign banks are starting to consider Vietnam as an important market in their global business development strategy.
The Vietnam National Coal Mineral Industry Holding Corporation Limited, or Vinacomin, has reduced the price of coal in an attempt to reduce inventories and boost trade. The price of coal dust Type 5A was cut to 110,000 Vietnamese dong per ton. Type 5B fell to 180,000 Vietnamese dong per ton, and 6A declined to 80,000 Vietnamese dong per ton for domestic consumers. In addition, Vinacomin continues to negotiate with its partners to seek a new export contract. Vinacomin shall export around 25,000 tons of coal to South Africa in September and another 18,000 tons to Cuba this November. Digital information accounts for up to 45% of an enterprise's total value, according to the Symantec Corp's first ever 2012 State of Information Survey. In Vietnam, the rapid growth of digital information is inevitable with the increasing usage of technology among enterprises, said Alex Wong, Symantec's country director for Vietnam. While organizations in the digital economy can use the information they generate every day to better serve customers and increase productivity, the same information can be a major liability if not properly protected and managed. Now, as usual, let's have a look at the updated foreign exchange rates as of today, September the 19th. In other news, the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, MARD, recently held a conference in Ho Chi Minh City on the development of the country's wood industry. The conference mainly focused on how to reach a total export turnover of 15 to 20 billion US dollars in the next 10 years.
According to MARD statistics, the Vietnamese wood industry's export turnover saw constant growth rate of over 15% per year during the last 5 years, despite the global economic downturn. Vietnam has an advantage over other leading countries in exporting wood, since China doesn't encourage wood production and taxes wood exports, while Italy and Germany have shut their plants due to economic downturn. This provides an ideal opportunity for the Vietnamese wood industry to expand its market share and export turnover.
The government will launch appropriate policies for enterprises in order to make use of the opportunities created by the current economic downturn. The goal is to increase total revenue 1.5 times the current figure by 2015.
Vietnamese wood enterprises can now meet global distribution chain standards. Vietnamese wood exports and products are currently ranked 6th in the world, 2nd in Asia and 1st in ASEAN, according to the Italian Center for Industrial Research. A Handicraft and Wood Industry Association's representative said the total furniture production value of Vietnam is too low, accounting for only 2% of the world's total export turnover of 347 billion US dollars.
We need to push for increased timber plantation development in the country. Currently, we still have to import wood, which accounts for 30 to 50% of total cost. A stable source of wood in the country will help lower prices. Support industry's products are also supplies we have to import. The development of the domestic support industry would also help lower prices as well.
Many enterprises mention inappropriate tax policies on forest land and land ownership as issues that needed addressing. In particular, long-term loans have created many difficulties for enterprises as they have prevented them from investing in timber plantations which could source input materials. Vietnam is currently spending billions of dollars every year importing materials from other countries.
Manufacturers have to increase productivity by investing in machinery to minimize labor. There are unfavorable orientations for development in the current economic situation. We have proposed a credit system similar to ODA credit with a grace period and preferential interest rates. This is required to aid the policy to restructure the sector.
The wood industry's goal to reach a total export turnover of 15 to 20 billion US dollars in the next 10 years and become a leading economic sector. If achieved, it will contribute to the country's development and create thousands of jobs. However, the government will need to play a key role in seeing the target become true.
Export of Vietnamese aquatic products to the U.S. and ASEAN market increased by more than 30% in the first 9 months of this year, according to the Vietnam Association of Seafood Exporters and Producers (VASEP).
Although a decline in the European market was recorded, VASEP said that Vietnamese enterprises had discovered other markets for exporting trout fish. Exports to the U.S. have seen particularly impressive growth of more than 30% in the first 9 months of 2012, amounting to nearly $300 million. VASEP Vice Chairman Dương Ngọc Minh said rising demand for trout fish in the U.S. has led to increased exports. Minh predicted that trout fish exports to the U.S. market would continue to grow in the coming months as the increasing price of feed has caused U.S. catfish to be less competitive than the Vietnamese trout fish. Trout fish exports to the Asian market in the third quarter of 2012 have also seen sharp increases of 30 to 40% in the ASEAN market and over 50% in China. Shrimp exports to the U.S. and EU in the early months of this year faced difficulties, but some key markets such as Taiwan, Japan, and Australia maintain rather good growth.
The Ministry of Industry and Trade has adopted measures to curb unofficial rice export to China.
In 8 months alone, Vietnam has exported more than 5.1 million tons of rice, worth $2.3 billion. China is Vietnam's leading rice export market with 1.4 million tons, an increase of 5.2 times in volume and 4.4 times in value over the same period last year. However, controlling unofficial rice exports has proved difficult. Experts have warned that domestic supplies could be exhausted if unofficial rice exports continue unabated. The Import-Export Department and Ministry of Industry and Trade will make further efforts to resolve the situation.
The southern province of Dong Nai's Department of Agriculture and Rural Development has decided to earmark 11,000 hectares for cashew cultivation until 2015. This move intends to create a stable source of raw materials for cashew processing and export enterprises in the province.
According to this plan, the cashew area will be located in Xuân Lộc, Định Quán, and Trảng Bom districts. Cashew growers in this area will be assisted by the Dona Foods Company in terms of seeds, technical support, fertilizer, and capital to produce cashews that meet the company's quality standards. Growing with modern techniques, each hectare is expected to yield 3 to 4 tons of raw cashew per year. The rapid dropping of cashew price in recent years forced many cashew growers to switch to other plants, and cashew enterprises have had to import thousands of tons of raw materials to maintain their operations. Dong Nai province is currently among the largest cashew growing regions in Vietnam.
And that's all we have for today's Economic Bulletin. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye for now.
Nhiều trẻ em khuyết tật và mồ côi ở Việt Nam có thể mỉm cười hạnh phúc với những cơ hội mới.